This episode contains sensitive topics. Discretion is advised.
Welcome in, folks. Today you'll probably notice that our furniture is a bit strange. It's very people-shaped. Today we'll be talking about Forniphilia. Minka probably knows the most about this, followed by Alt. You guys got any opening words?
I thought this was Minka's episode.
No,
episode.
Puce said he was gonna do this one.
Opening words.
I only found out about the actual term, probably a couple months ago because of a tag on hentai. But as soon as I looked up to see what that was, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I know what this is.
You're much braver than me. I'm not clicking on random tags on hentai. Fuck that.
Well, there's a pretty good chance that it's going to lead me to something that's going to turn me on, so.
I was going to say, when I looked it up on Google, human furniture popped up.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I know what this is. Why does it have a word? Why does everything need a word?
Because we're humans and we have to categorize everything.
Exactly.
Oh, any thoughts upon looking up Forniphilia?
Literally zero. I was like, oh, this is the thing from Squid Game.
See, I've never seen Squid Game, so I have
Should
no
watch
idea.
Squid Game.
The thing from Squid Game.
Fun.
Apparently there's a scene in it where there's, the rich people surrounded by people that are furniture.
Man, the only bad thing about the end bit of Squid Game is that all the rich people are white, and it's super annoying.
I mean, it's pretty realistic then.
Still annoying. That makes it even more annoying.
Fair enough. So, Minka, you seem to have the most experience with this. I believe in a past episode you mentioned something about being a server. And as I was flicking through Instagram's hashtag Forniphilia,
What?
I saw people tied up as servers. Is that what you meant?
What?
It's on Instagram.
You're talking about like holding in a serving tray type server?
Yeah. Or were you just walking around as a typical server?
Most of the time it was just walking around as a typical server. There was one party I was at where I was painted entirely gold, and so I was a statue with, I also had done needlework in my back, and then we'd attached feathers to them, so I also had wings, and that was pretty cool. And I figured out how to flap them by moving the right muscles.
Ow. Well, okay. That sounds painful.
Mm-hmm.
Not really.
So you had the needles in the whole party?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
So the funny thing about playing with needles is now whenever I go to get a shot or anything, those needles are so freaking tiny that it's just it just makes me laugh.
It's even worse.
Usually
I'm going to work tonight and my back's gonna be all tightened up from this episode. I don't like this.
A lot of the common play that I've done with needles has been 16 gauge, 18 gauge. What they usually use for shots and stuff is a 22 gauge.
I forget, the bigger the number,
the smaller it is.
The needle.
Yeah.
Well, when you said you were into this, I was oh, so Minka was probably a table or a lamp, nothing crazy. And you're just nah, I've had needles jammed in me, no problem.
Oh yeah, no, needle play is a super common thing for me. But I have also been a table, footstool, an ashtray, been lots of things.
I was gonna say, I saw the mouthpiece ashtray thing and I was oh my god, why?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Because it's fun, but also you don't really do it with cigarettes, but with cigars, you can actually have them drop the ash just straight onto your tongue, and it actually is really interesting because cigars are flavored differently. The ash will have different flavors, and so you can kind of find that there's certain cigar ash that tastes better than others.
I both want to gag right now thinking about that, and also completely understand, because obviously cigars are flavored differently than cigarettes and have their own like concoctions.
Yeah, cigarettes can have a little bit of flavoring, but like they're not really built for like these exquisite, more deep, tony flavors that cigars are.
All right, so Minka, you've been an ashtray, you've been a table, you've been a statue. Anything else on that list?
Basically like a footstool too. Is there anything else? Let's see, I don't think any of the times I've done any suspension play there was anything like that going on.
Any objectification?
There was one point where we were talking about, and this is still something that could very well happen in the future, but basically having like a picture frame, like a big one, and then basically doing a big like shibari rope scene in it, so it's almost like being a 3D painting.
So you'd be suspended within the picture frame or like right behind it?
Yeah, and honestly, like if you like the aesthetic of like rope stuff and that kind of stuff, you can go online and find people that have posted pictures of different things they've done, and there's some absolutely beautiful stuff. Like there's somebody that made like a giant like spider web design with their rope, like so much rope, but then there's like a person in the middle of it and stuff. There's some beautiful stuff out there.
My only problem with rope stuff is it takes forever, and I'm like, you gonna have to sit there for a while. I'm sorry, I'm tired now. I ain't got the energy to undo all this.
Yeah, it's a long process. So generally you really need to have both people really into it. Though honestly, at least from my experience and from the experience of those I've talked to who are rope bunnies, you generally kind of fall into a bit of a sub-trance while it's happening. Like it's super, super relaxing and therapeutic and stuff.
Drugs. That's what I heard, drugs.
So it sounds like your most simple like object you've been was a footstool. Then probably a table. And then the statue winged thing. Anything else you'd want to be? Because it sounds like you'd want to be in a picture. Sort of, whatever you want to call that.
Yeah.
But like anything that'd be just like either absolutely out there and impossible, or just like something you just haven't been yet.
A chandelier, like lots of rope play to make some sort of thing that would like have all sorts of stuff hanging off, and like I would be the main part of the chandelier. Would be really cool. I mean, I've technically been a toilet, but not really like a toilet. So I would be down for that. Honestly, like if somebody had an idea and could present it well enough, I'd probably be like, yeah, I'm down with that.
Going through Instagram and seeing all the different hashtags, I was like, oh, I wonder if somebody's done this. And then I'd scroll just a little bit further and they'd be done. And I'd be like, well, I'm very behind then. Still, this stuff is just out there.
Yeah.
Like I saw a candelabra of a woman just like with the candles lit like on a smaller candle thing on top of her head with the wax dripping on her. And I was like, I'm not surprised, but I am also very intrigued.
Oh, I was kind of hoping she was just like holding the candles.
There was a couple of those too.
Yeah.
A lot of pictures of people holding the candles in their mouth.
Yeah, it was like you do have to sometimes be careful with wax play, by the by. You need to be aware of temperatures, and not all wax burns at the same temperature, so you just want to be careful not to burn yourself or
no, that makes sense.
the person that you are playing with. Just as a little...
You are much braver than I. I'm not fucking up my Instagram like that.
I don't think I'm signed in.
What?
I don't know.
You can just peruse Instagram without being signed in? It won't. Oh, you're on the phone. That's why.
No, I'm on my computer.
Oh, my computer kicks me off. It's just like, no, you gotta be signed in to do
Oh,
anything.
I might be signed in. Never mind. You're right. I think I
You
just screwed up
probably
my
are.
Instagram.
Yeah, you fucked up.
Screwed it up how though? Like, I know my Facebook is like 80% almost porn pictures, and I feel like that's the way it should be.
Can Instagram be screwed up though?
Yes, because it runs off. I think it runs off a similar algorithm as Facebook. So your recommended stuff should change.
But
Oh, yeah, true.
what is it screwing it up from? Like, are you?
His normal vanilla bullshit.
I was like, yeah,
It's the same thing with VTubers after he bitched to me. So
oh,
it's
okay.
literally it's that.
I was like, yeah, because I honestly am usually happier seeing that kind of stuff than seeing anything other people have posted.
Man, you must not like the people on your Facebook.
A lot of people are just boring or sharing news, and I don't need
Then
to know
mute
that
them.
the world is becoming an apocalyptic dystopia.
Then mute the people.
I've muted a lot. I don't know. I also don't like really post. So for me, I guess it is just now kind of a social media is kind of a I want to just see like cool things that are sexy or cute or awesome.
I think you probably have me muted because all I do is shit post. That's it. I don't even think Puce uses Facebook. If I'm gonna be honest.
I'm on there. I don't post that much.
I found people who post less than I do. Wow, it's crazy.
I mostly use Facebook to keep up with people who don't use other social media.
Yeah, I've got too much going on in my own life that I've got to try to figure out to worry about anybody else and what they're dealing with.
Alright, your shit's justified. Puce, I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah.
He didn't talk about his life.
My life is minimal.
What does that mean?
Keep it to what I need, and that's about it.
That sounds sad.
Kind of is. But that's a topic for another day.
Go hug your dog.
She is too needy. So, when as I'm looking through and looking up Forniphilia, I'm seeing a lot of more like artistic work, like either for like a stance on like feminism and stuff, or like it's very much more artistic than it is like looks like somebody being used.
Well,
Have you noticed that, Minka?
yeah, and I think that is just because of the guidelines. Because like
Guidelines.
yeah, right. Like you're not going to be able to post anything that's too close to pornography on there, and
Well, I meant on the internet in general.
Oh, on the internet.
Is
Oh,
what I'm finding.
Then I would say no.
Granted, I wasn't exactly just clicking on every link. I was trying to find more like newsy articles.
Yeah,
about it.
Yeah, and articles are usually gonna stay away from the too spicy stuff. But there are a lot of people that take kink and BDSM and all of that kind of stuff and like do make it artistic and beautiful, and so is a lot of that will go out into the world and like become a bit more public. But there's also so much that happens that like is for the kink and the fetish and the objectification and turning people on and all of that, because it's like, yeah, it's definitely an objectification thing is a big part of it for a lot of the different kinds of things. Because like if you're a lamp, then you're being forced to sit there and be treated as an object. Like you're not a human at that point. You are furniture. And then sometimes it can even turn into like, oh, let's do this scene where obviously this gets a little weird and is really just more of this is just kind of what I want to do to you now. And it's like, oh, okay, now you're fucking the lamp. And obviously talking about fucking a lamp generally sounds weird, but like in this type of instance, like it can be kind of hot, because if you're tied up or whatever and you're playing with someone where this is all a scene that's been negotiated and set up, then it's kind of a like, you're just an object, so you don't really have a choice in the matter. You're just being used in another way.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you were to all of a sudden somebody say like, "Oh, I'm gonna go fuck my lamp now," everybody would be like, okay,
Fucking
dude.
weeb.
Yeah.
You'd be seen as just as weird as the people who fuck their cars.
Yeah.
Fucking
not
American.
No, that's guns, not cars.
Oh, see, I bet
Which
there's
is more scary.
I bet there's people out there too that like have taken the full body length pillows and
Okay.
yeah, don't tell me to stop. I'm not going anywhere weird. Well, not more weird than normal. Taking the full body pillows and like, then basically like put that over someone so they became the pillow and then fucked them.
Okay. Oof. Panic. Okay.
Alt was ready to bleep out that whole sentence.
Yeah, I don't know where he thought I was going.
America, guns.
Were you afraid she was going politics or into somebody being a gun and somehow used as one?
Stop. Just stop. You know where it was going. Nope. Mm-mm.
Okay.
That's for a whole different fetish we ain't gonna talk about.
Moving on from like looking at the pictures and stuff. Minka, you sent us a doujin the other day to read up on and kind of get into your mind of what you like to look at when you're looking to be more excitable.
Yeah, it was actually one that I just kind of stumbled on, and I ended up really liking it. Number's 394731 for anyone interested.
I was just gonna say the title, but that also works.
That'll probably make it easier, honestly, if they know how to do that.
I'm dumb, so I don't.
Can just copy paste. That's what I copy pasted what the title was.
Huh.
For those who are dumb and don't know how to use the numbers, the series is called The Dead End House Anthology.
Yeah, so that one is obviously a bit of a fantasy twist on it, where it's not just like using bondage to be put in a situation, which, mind you, a lot of it has been talked about ropes, but you can also use, like spreader bars. I've seen like people that were turned into kind of like wall lamps using spreader bars and stuff. You can use different sorts of like bondage suits and gimp suits, all sorts of stuff to turn people into furniture. But this is a more fantastical version of it where people are literally turning into like furniture pieces. Like the first girl ends up getting attacked by this monster and ghost, right? A ghost is a monster.
Is it though?
Yeah, I would say it is.
They are separate entities.
Okay. But she gets attacked by this creature. How about that? Can I go with creature?
It's still a ghost though.
I'd say apparition.
Apparition's a much better word, yeah.
Well, an apparition is a ghost.
Yeah, but it could also be like a demon or...
Apparition's more spirity, spooky type.
Yeah.
Which, after reading past the credits, I'm like, oh, this is literally just a thingy possessing people. It's a ghost. Okay, I was like, all right, well. Yeah, because the lady who's there in part 2 is an exorcist, so ghost.
Yeah, apparition, spirit.
Look, Monster Wiki. A ghost is the spirit of a dead person or animal. So it is on the Monster Wiki.
Monster
Ghost.
Wiki doesn't count.
I think this is like one of the first time me and Puce have agreed ghost.
I feel like apparition, spirit, stuff along the more like paranormal like type of wording is more fitting than monster or creature.
Okay, this cryptid,
Yeah, that works.
this entity, this anomaly, interacts with, or like basically gets this girl and starts turning her into actual wax. Like her body starts changing into wax, and then she becomes a chandelier that is made out of wax. And I don't remember if it specifically said if she stayed kind of fully conscious in this
Yep, she did.
eternity as a wax thing. I'm glad she did, because I'm like, that's what turns me on more, is like,
I was gonna say everybody in each of those stories, like, it had the little thought bubbles at the very end of being like, I am still fully conscious, but I can't feel my body.
she was the only one that I couldn't remember. And actually, like, the one that I sent to you guys had the English translations, and I have not actually seen the actual text yet, because when I first found it, I found the I think the Japanese version, so I haven't actually read through it in the English text yet.
Fucking weeb.
But yeah, like,
Over there speaking them.
that's why it's way harder to me, is because then it's that idea of like, then you're stuck like that for eternity, as this, like, you know, this sexy girl shaped, basically naked wax lantern. Not lantern, ceiling.
I was okay with it until they were like, yeah, fuck your legs and your hands and your fingers. I'm like, this is just mid now. All right, well.
Oh yeah, because
it had no bearing on chapter 2. I was like,
well,
what was the point?
It was an anthology. It was literally just little stories to watch people getting turned into things.
What do you mean, little
gathering
stories?
Of short
chapter
stories.
1 was like 30 pages, and chapter 2 was like 80. And then they tied in with each other. I'm like, this is the story. This is not an anthology.
Wait, did you skip chapter 1? A girl gets turned into a chandelier. Chapter 2 is the 3, like, young adults who to get turned into bathroom stuff.
I didn't get that. My chapter 2 was Kung Fu Ninja Lady Exorcist person.
What? I read a completely different story than you. Because mine went chandelier girl, different bathroom accessories.
Apparently, this is why you don't just do the name, everyone. Use the number.
I did click on your link, and that's what it showed me.
No, she's referring to me.
Now let's see if I pull this one up. Yeah, because there's the wax.
There are 2 in English, and I clicked the first one because it's the first one.
Oh yeah, that was the other really hot part about it, is that the ghost basically grew a wax dick and then fucked her with it, and so filled her with wax from the inside too, which is fucking hot.
Mid. It was, but it wasn't. I'm like, this is man, this is happening. I have to read this.
Yeah, I don't know. And then the like being conscious as like part your hands and stuff are being broken off to be able to be replaced by candles. To me, that's really hot.
See, the only hot part about seeing the chandelier was the whole, like, nipple part. Like, the like, dangly bits from the nipples. And then they had to spear her boobs with the ring, and I was definitely scared.
Oh.
You were scared?
Yep.
Why were
not
you
scared? More like, nope, this is definitely not doing it for me.
Oh, I mean, yeah. One of the few doujins I can say I just kind of read. I'm like, I ain't getting nothing out of this. I'm gonna just read, I guess. It's this book now. Did you get the Kung Fu Lady Exorcist person?
I did, after, because it went, like I said, chandelier, then bathroom, and then Kung Fu Exorcist Lady.
So, like,
yeah.
I don't hate shonen, I just don't like it. Except for when it's anime. Man, those fight scenes weren't great.
I mean, that's...
Yeah, it's definitely very lacking.
And that like, fair. Really pulled me out of it, because I was like, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. And if you have magic all the time, just use it to escape. Like, after the first, oh no, she got fucked up, I'd have been like, okay, I'm going to escape and retreat and recover, and we're going to bring back up. But, you know.
That's not what makes it fun.
Did you have the bathroom chapter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It goes the chandelier, the bathroom, the
And then
martial
Exorcist,
arts girl.
martial artist girl.
And
From there, it's a little bit more just random little stories.
Yeah, and then there's the wash basin, and then the horse table.
And then finally the sink.
The wash basin.
Oh.
But yeah, no, I am gonna stop looking at that because
So in the chapter that all apparently missed, it kind of calls back to the chandelier girl, where 3 people walk into the house, and chandelier girl's dangling from the ceiling, and they're like, "Whoa, what is that?" And wax drips on the girl of the group, and then they rush to find a bathroom and clean off, and the girl gets turned into. At first, what I just thought was a weird tile floor statue thing. And then
you don't need to describe it. I already was just like, this is not for me. This is low-key not.
This is more for the audience.
Good?
I'm trying to describe
What's the not good is not the right word. This isn't doing anything for me.
It wasn't for me either.
The wood was interesting. I want to know why she picked wood specifically.
Why she became a wood statue?
Yeah. Minka, explain why she picked wood.
I mean, it was kind of like mannequins.
Okay, but mannequins are PVC plasticky bullshit. She picked
sometimes
wood.
There are
I feel like these are the older looking
wooden
mannequins that are made out of wood.
Okay, I don't want to put my dick in wood. It's how you get splinters.
Well, some people like the pain, I guess.
Are you speaking from experience?
No.
Okay, then. Just,
Have you guys had an issue lately where, you're on an hentai and it's, it'll suddenly jump to, you click next page and it'll suddenly jump to, a different comic?
Completely different dojin?
Yeah.
I haven't had that in a while, but yes, I've had that problem.
Okay, because I'm used to, the ads popping up and stuff sometimes when you click every now and then. But, all of a sudden lately, yeah, it's just, it'll jump to a different comic. And I'm like, I don't think this is right. And then I go back to gallery and it's a completely different one. And it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, I was definitely confused because it happened to me a few times.
Okay. So, at least, I'm not the only one that's happening to.
They'll fix it. He said optimistically, knowing they would not.
Right? They don't care.
So, Minka, in this dojin you linked, we see girl turned into chandelier.
Mm-hmm.
3 people turned into different, shower / soap dispensers.
Mm-hmm.
Then we see the exorcist girl fight mannequins. Also turn into a chandelier. Turn into a urinal, from what I could tell.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally into a wood statue. And then we've got a few short stories that feature a wash basin, a table, and I think there was something else, but I forget what it was.
There's one in between that where the girl she's coming to rescue, supposedly, she takes a selfie with her as the statue, and I was like, I don't know if I should be laughing or if that's fucked up, or I don't know how to feel, but I feel many things. You know how mad I would be if I'm coming to save a person, all this shit happens to me, and they take a selfie with me. I'm like, if I ever get a chance to move, I'm beating your ass.
Well,
Wait,
I mean,
I missed that. I don't remember that.
Imagine though it just being kind of a you see it and you're like, that's so weird that there's this weird mannequin that looks exactly like my friend. I'm gonna take a picture and show it to her later.
What do you mean? She was dead. They were. I'm on the wrong computer for that. That's right. Well, that's just lost to time. So I'm not on that whole other computer.
I don't think Puce. I don't think it was in the one I sent.
No, I don't think so.
I
see a panel where she compares a picture of the girl to the final mannequin, but that's it.
Yeah, it happened before. I got that. The one girl's backstory of how the ghost thing showed up. I'm like, I understand how this happened. Someone let the vampire in. Someone fucked up. Someone fucked up.
I also think part of the wood thing is just because of the house itself, because it was like using the actual like floorboard to kind of come up and help create that.
They don't really believe in drywall in Japan, so yeah, you're right.
So that it may have just been as simple as that.
I was gonna say, I feel like that was more like the epic ending. So you gotta finish with something very cool and crazy.
I don't know, like this could be completely inaccurate, but there's a part of me that wonders if like the fact that I had that portion of my life where I felt like I was trapped in a body that wasn't mine is maybe partially why I get so turned on at the idea of being like trapped as something sexy for eternity.
Ask your other trans friends and make a poll.
I don't have trans friends.
You do live in like Whitey McWhitersonville, so yeah, you're right.
I mean, there's some other things that go into that, but I don't want to talk about that on the podcast.
Cool, because I don't want you to say those things. I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
About trans people, not about
for the next
white people and not white people.
Trauma session.
Man, I still have to put those together. I don't want to do that.
So, Minka, out of everything that we saw in this doujin, girls and people turn into, do you have a favorite? And least favorite?
That's so hard. Honestly, for the fetish and the kink aspect of it and everything, like what turns me on would be being stuck as something that like like my asshole, my pussy, my mouth are all available, so I can be used and abused that way. But like also when she gets turned into like the urinal, that was really hot for me, just because I like water sports. But I don't know, honestly, I probably any of them. I think the one where she gets turned basically into the floor of the bathroom and then just has like becomes like the shower spout. I don't think that one would do much for me.
That one did seem the most
quote
unquote unrealistic.
Mm-hmm.
Like the two girls who got pushed into the wall and became like soap dispensers and stuff. I was like, okay, that makes sense. But then she was like turned into a statue that's pretty much just laying on the ground and is the shower head and wash area, and I'm like, that doesn't make as much sense. But maybe if I actually saw a Japanese bathroom, it might.
Go watch Aki Dearest video. There you go. That'll help.
Yeah, the two in the wall I think would be pretty hot, but that one, like, I guess it would kind of depend too on how much she could feel being basically made out of tile.
I mean, the way each of them talk in their thoughts, they all can feel immense pleasure and eroticism than like their whole transformation.
Well, yeah, because the two
forever after that,
the two boys that went in there got turned into the girls. The one basically kept their genitals, and it became a dispenser of shower gel. So I'm sure anytime anybody got that, it was feeling like ejaculation. So
it seems like the only person in the stories that didn't feel constant arousal was the very end when the sink basin girl was used. She only felt the arousal when in use, and then she broke. So maybe she was like at the final stages where there was no arousal, but it seemed like from the way it was written that you constantly feel arousal.
How did she break if she constantly does maintenance on them too? Because they didn't really, that was like a whole 2 panels. I'm like, wait, she's out here doing maintenance, making sure everyone's okay? Like the fuck kind of ghost?
Well, she wants him to have to be stuck there for eternity.
Yeah, so that's why I don't understand how she, well, I mean, it's hentai logic. That's how she broke. She needs a new victim. I get that.
I mean, your sink just breaks eventually, right? So.
I mean, it lasts way longer if maintenance it.
Well, as the story says, that girl was the first, if not one of the first. And I assume this was like over like 100 years. So I imagine a sink after 100 years would break.
That's some shitty ghost magic.
Maybe, I don't know, because it looks like it was, yeah, like basically doing maintenance on the knobs, that, like the hot water, cold water, which came from her breasts, because of course, this is that kind of thing. And then like it got her turned on so much that she came, and so she basically just started leaking water. So, yeah, I don't know, maybe, I don't know why that one broke, and
maybe we'll find out in the next story.
Right? Like,
sure we will.
Damn well you and me are not reading that.
I'll let you guys know how it is if it ever comes out.
Thanks, bud.
You're always the one we can count on, Mika.
Oh, good.
Speaking of the girl being turned into wood, it doesn't make any sense what would be coming out of her nipples and pussy. Like, what is she spraying?
Sap. Very loose sap.
Sure.
From the wooden floorboards?
Yes.
I guess that makes sense.
I mean, these things don't really need to make sense.
It's a tenth logic. I don't know what he's like. He's putting a little too much thought into it.
I gotta make sense out of what little sense there can be made.
Man, you really don't.
Well, there's something that was going up into her, so it's possible it was just whatever was pumped into her.
Fair. I will say, reading this, the two that seemed the most violent are the chandelier, because like they go through some like extra work to make her look like a chandelier, and like pierce her boobs with a giant metal rod, and I'm just like, that seems extra painful. And the girl who became a urinal, because she was fucked by a giant penis and it erupted out of her stomach.
Right.
So those two seem extra painful, and I would not want to experience that ever.
Well, some of us would.
Alt, any more thoughts on the comic?
No, it was mid. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
That fight scene was just not good, and it just pulled me out way too hard.
Sorry, these are your thoughts. Sorry, go ahead.
Kung Fu Ninja Lady was cool. The demon ghost thing was like abnormally hot. I'm like, how do I fuck her without not dying?
Without becoming
I think
furniture?
it's worth it. Like, I don't think it's not worth it. No, it's not worth it.
I will say, seeing Kung Fu Girl's boobs grow was spot
It was
on.
fun for you. Yeah, I was gonna say, I could pick something for him. Wow.
No, I picked this for me.
Oh, it just so happened to overlap with what Pew's likes. All right.
Yeah, I had like 3 panels of bigger boobs, yay, and that was about it.
I something I don't know. Do either of you know if this technically would have crossover with, like, being transformed into a sex doll? I feel like it might not, just because that's not technically furniture per se.
If we're sticking by this story's logic, I'd say no.
Because I have seen some stories that have had the tag on there, and it's like, oh, like this person got turned into a condom that this Futa character is now filling over and over, which I don't know why they would use the same condom over and over. Or
gotta save money somewhere.
I guess too, they're like, oh, this feels like it's actually like sucking my dick and blah blah blah. So I guess maybe there's a reason for it, but stuff like that, and I'm like, I don't know if that technically falls into it or not. I'm like, I'm fine with that stuff showing up because that's still pretty hot too, for me at least. But yeah, I don't know exactly, because like I said, I hadn't really heard the phrase before, like a couple months ago. But I'm glad
this story's logic, I'd say no.
Right.
In general, I feel like condom, no. I feel like that's something completely different. But like,
has to specifically
doll,
be furniture.
So, like, if a mannequin is considered furniture, then yeah, is like a sex doll considered furniture?
If you fashion it together correctly, sure. If it can support your weight, sure.
Or is that then doing forniphilia to the sex doll?
I'm going to go with what I said. I like what I said.
I'm going to say, as long as it's multifunctional, yes.
I'm glad to know a name for the term, because like that always makes it easier to find stuff when you're horny and looking for hentai.
Forniphilia does sound much less scary and objectifying than human furniture, so.
You right.
I mean,
you right.
Can we start a new phrase, the Triple H, the horny hentai hunt?
What?
Like when you're horny and you're trying to find some hentai that you want to get off to, and so you're hunting for it. So the horny hentai hunt. The Triple H.
That's just looking up porn, dog. Nah, that's just looking up porn.
Yeah, but we could have a new phrase for it to make things overly complicated.
No.
You're not
we'll let you
You're
use
no fun.
that term whenever you're looking, Minka.
All right, I'll be like, when I was on the Triple H.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, comment.
You'll have to remember that.
So clearly this Dojin did something for Minka. And not much for you, Alt, I'm assuming?
No. I just... It's just mentally getting me prepared for other things.
This is foreplay.
No, man, foreplay sounds amazing, but no.
And
Just
then I
mentally
had my
prepared for depression.
Then I had my 3 panels of breast expansion, which mixed into these hundreds of panels. I don't think that would be enough.
Yeah, like it's...
Oh yeah, you actually read a book this time. Like a book.
Yeah, you have
I know. It was like 132 pages.
magical book. No, not the... Your book that actually
my
talks
fetish
about the stuff. Yeah.
That, I will admit, trying to find information about Forniphilia on the internet was much more difficult than just reading my book.
That's fair.
Like I was trying to like find the scientific stuff behind it, and I was just like, this is all just the same 2 sentences on repeat.
Yeah, and again, a lot of times we have words that are created just to help people, the human mind, create labels and organize things. So it may not be a super widely known thing. Like, I didn't know about it till 2 months ago. That doesn't mean it's not widely known, because obviously I don't know everything. But maybe it's even... Do you know how old your book is?
My book is from trying to find the copyright date, 2019.
So it's a fairly newer book, but sometimes too there's older words that like used to be used and then they're forgotten about, then someone finds it and all of a sudden it's like, oh hey, yeah, this is that thing that we like, so let's start using the word again. Like,
I do think that it's a much more widely known... It's not a widely known thing, I'd say, but it's been in use for a long time, because I did find 2 different artists who pretty much specialize, or like have done works and or specialize in Forniphilia, and I was very like fascinated by like why they did it, and it didn't seem like I could come up with much reasoning behind either of them.
I would say from my experiences in the kink community as well, that it is generally just referred to as human furniture. Like, we're going to do human furniture play is usually how I've always heard about it, which is probably why I didn't know the term forniphilia, because, like, yeah, it could be one of those things where it's almost like the pretentious way to say it, or it was at one point. I don't know. But if you know what human furniture is, then you are aware of this kink.
Human furniture takes less explanation too, so.
Right, which is quite possibly why it became the more go-to term.
Crap, where did those pictures go that I saved? I saved some pictures to, like, show you guys what I was
Oh my
looking at.
god. You saving pictures? What?
I had to do research. I had to figure out what I was looking at.
I've been, like, when it hits evening time, I just, like, am suddenly becoming famished, like, every single day. I'll eat, like, multiple things, and I'll just be, like, still in a starving state. I don't understand it.
Jealous. I had 2 cookies and dinner, and that's it. So.
But yeah, if you like stomach bulging, tentacles, amputation, transformation, any of that kind of stuff, I would definitely suggest checking out objectification, obviously, CNC, for lack of a safer term. I would definitely suggest checking out that hentai that we've been talking about.
But yes. For those wondering what pictures I've uploaded to our little group chat, this is an artist known as Namio Harukawa. I'm sure I butchered that name, but he seems to do a lot of work where it pictures more voluptuous women using what usually looks like much more skinny and
Pathetic Japanese
pathetic,
men.
yeah,
Older Japanese men at that.
in various seat-like positions. Definitely perplexed by some of them, but it was like, oh, I guess that's more objectification that I wouldn't have thought of.
I don't know, like, the art's cool. It's got that 1950s vibe, but yeah, no, that's not doing nothing for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say most of his work looks like it's from the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, I was like, these all look like very painful positions, and I'm sure that's part of it. I would imagine if there's a decent chance if he's painting these, that it's stuff that he's into, but it does definitely seem like humiliation and objectification of, like, older Japanese
Let's go
men.
with maybe, because people who draw furry porn do not like furry porn, but it pays so fucking well. So
Right.
let's go with maybe.
Right, but if this was the 60s and 70s, like...
Oh, I mean, well, that's just the art style. That doesn't mean it's when this was made.
Well, isn't that what you said that you found they were made? Fuse?
No, I said it looks like the art style from the 50s and 60s.
Oh, you don't know when they were made, Fuse?
No.
It says 60s and 70s, so I assume that's...
Does it?
Yeah, he's... under his description it says he started out as an erotic fetish artist in the 60s and 70s.
So it is also possible they could have been commissions, but, like, obviously the internet's not a thing at that point, so he's not necessarily going to be... I mean, erotic art is also not going to be a huge thing at that point. Like, in kind of behind closed doors in certain circles it is, but...
The fisherman's wife's dream would beg to differ. Whatever the fuck it's called. I know what I'm talking about. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, we've talked
I feel
about
like
it
he
before.
could have also just been into the empowerment of women. You guys never know.
Yeah, probably dead now. Who knows? Is he dead? Look up if he's dead.
Yes.
Well, there's...
Oh.
Like,
2 years ago, actually.
Oof!
Yeah. No, it feels like it is kind of both sides, where it's the degradation, humiliation, objectification of men, and it does actually feel like an empowerment of women thing as well.
So, Minka, you mentioned, especially in these 3 pictures, that the men are most likely in pain. Do you think that applies to all human furniture, or is that just more specific to this genre?
No, I would absolutely say that does not depict to all. It can very much be an aspect of it, and it is probably a decently common in regular play because, it's part of the objectification. It's being used. So, like, if you're just a table and, you're just sitting there and, like, a few things are being put on you, that can be fun, and like if it is a long time thing, then pain is going to become a part of it as well, because usually you are going to be like on your hands and knees or whatever, and so like there are muscles that are going to get sore and strained and all of that. But as for these ones where it's like, oh, they're sitting on him and his neck is bent at like 90 degrees back so that she can sit on him, like that is going to be a specific thing where it's just like you're not only going to be furniture, but you're going to be extremely uncomfortable in the position while you're being used. So it's, I would say it's an extra thing about it. It doesn't have to be incorporated into it, but it is a thing that can be and often is, because you know pain is a big part of BDSM and all of that, and so it would make sense to have it be a part of this fetish and kink as well.
I will say, one of the artists that I found who did it do a lot more real life posing with, I assume, his submissives, and his name is Jeff Gord. He definitely talks about if you want to get into this sort of stuff, you want to like either A, do as much studying and like understanding of it as possible, or B, do it with a well-trained professional who knows what they're doing. Because this seems to be on the much more, not extreme end, but it could get much more dangerous end of bondage.
I would definitely agree. It's kind of like if you're doing any sort of like suspension or anything, or even just some fairly basic rope play, you want to make sure you know what you're doing. Do some research, because bodies are weird, and you could end up cutting off, you know, circulation to some places. You could hit pressure points that you don't know you're doing that can cause damage. So you have to be really careful, because you can cause permanent damage. Also, you could end up, like some people do, like self rope bondage type stuff. You could end up getting yourself into a position that you can't get out of, things like that. And so the same is true for human furniture, where a lot of times you're going to be in positions that the human body is not normally used to being in. And so you want to be aware of exactly what you're doing, what pressures you're putting on different parts of the body, what possible things could possibly happen. It would fall into RAC, or risk aware consensual kink. And, you know, so sometimes it can be a little more dangerous, and you just have to be smart, be as safe as you can, but be aware that there are risks involved.
So, Minka, I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it seems like most of this is pretty simple, and like you can either go from like just on all fours being in a little table for somebody, all the way up to like having like things attached to you or tied up. If you were like to try to become the urinal in the ocean, and like so like instead of being like peed on or whatever used, if they like essentially had like a basin strapped to your front, would that do more or less for you?
I guess it kind of depends, because like in that one, like the faucets obviously were affecting her nipples, and like the tubing and everything had a lot to do with it. So for me, at least in the fetish fantasy realm side of it, I would definitely want whatever is going to be the most sexual. I don't really get off as much on just the like, okay, yes, I'm a lamp and I'm going to stand here with this lampshade on my head for 7 hours, type thing, which some
you
people
want it
do.
to be much more interactive.
Yeah, like some people do love that, but like that's not the side of it that I like. I like the more interactive. And so especially being, I mean, it's kind of the same thing where it's like the idea of basically getting stuck in a wall where like, you know, my back half and my front half are stuck in two different sides, and you know, I'm just getting used is what gets me going more.
Right. So it's less being the object and more the used aspect.
Yeah, more of the being used. I don't, I guess, feel too much objectification from just presenting as a piece of furniture, because I have no shame, and so I don't care. So it's like that time I was the statue, like it was a lot of fun, but it wasn't like oh yeah, this is like really turning me on thing. Like I was having more fun, like trying to figure out how to flap my wings, quote unquote.
Yeah, every time I think about it, it hurts. I have seen a few pictures where it takes more than one person to be the piece of furniture. Have you ever done something like that?
Actually, I was just gonna... Let me see if I can do this, because I actually found this guy you were talking about, and this is on his website, and I was like, this is actually really cool. So I think for special circumstances, something like that could be a lot of fun. One of the ones I saw, they didn't necessarily have two people being the same, like interacting to be the object, but they were like right next to each other, and so they both had like spreader bars and stuff going on, and they were these like wall hanging lights basically, so they were both done up the same next to each other, and like I thought that was really cool. But I definitely feel like something like that is generally going to be more of a artistic piece. Well, also I guess that depends, because it could be, you could be forced in basically some sort of like 69 position or something. Oh, that's so small.
I was picturing something more of the picture I just sent, where it was two girls on all fours with one laying over top as the tabletop. But a bunch of people being a bookcase would be interesting too.
Yeah, and see, like that one, I think for me the exciting part would be like, again, being used, because right there to me is more of an like aesthetic art piece. Like I think that's honestly pretty beautiful. It's sexy too, obviously, because they're naked, but like I feel like that would then go into group play, which can be a lot of fun, because I did have a couple times that I did like they're called torture ties, and so they're ways you can do rope, basically like tying super tight on like your muscles and stuff, so every movement of your muscle just like it becomes painful. And so I would have things where like I'd be tied to other people, and like that kind of stuff would be fun, but that wasn't really just furniture. That was, like we're both going to stand up and try to make the other one tap out. So there was play, there was an objective there as well. So I don't, but again, I don't, also like, I'm a little bit horny right now, but I'm not super horny. And there's a lot of things that become even more enticing to me when I am super horny. So it's possible, like, if there was this whole thing going on and it's like, I'm at some party or whatever, and like we've been doing all sorts of stuff, and they're like, oh, let's tie you three together to make this table. I'd probably be like, fuck yeah, let's do it. I want to be tied to two other sexy women.
So it's some of it could be more fun in a scene, and then some of it you'd more prefer to be the sexual used side of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, as of my experiences with it so far, yes. Because I very much am a person where, like, I try to make sure that I at least try things out a couple times to see if I'm into it or not. So with what I have done, that's where I am. And maybe, I don't know, maybe this, like, looking at this table one, the longer I look at it, the more I'm like, I don't know, maybe that could be fun, because I also am a little bit of an exhibitionist, so, like, that it's possible that could turn me on to be sitting there naked as a table.
I do have one final question before we start to wrap things up for the night. Do you think the whole, like, eating food off of people thing could be tied into human furniture?
I do know there is a specific term for that. At least one, if not a couple. I would say that technically, yes, it would fall under that because they are being basically a serving tray, a platter, a table, whatever you want to say. But I do know that there is a like very specific focus for that fetish. Because it's a lot of fun. Like, depending on the food. For me, food play really depends on the food. I will tell you that. But like sushi is a big one. Ice cream can be another one, but that's usually more of like a single person. But like sushi is usually a big one for like a group gathering, and someone is the serving platter. Like so little like finger foods and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say it does fall into that. And some people are going to be into that and some people are going to be turned off because some people don't like food play at all. And like some people don't like the idea of food off of a naked body because, they're germaphobes or whatever. So I would say that one is going to be more polarizing of a fetish.
I'm just going to hard disagree with you and say no.
No, it's not part of human furniture.
No, I think that's more solely food play type shenanigans. Because every time I've seen it depicted, they're just fucking Japanese people just eating sushi off a naked girl, and I'm like, yep, that's happening. That's the thing.
Well, would you ever eat food off your partner?
Certain foods.
Anything specific, or just?
We'll have a whole episode about that. We could talk about it then.
Okay.
You're not going to like any of my answers because they're all stupid.
I mean, I feel like you and I have more of the basic answers, whereas Minka would much more willingly explore that.
I saw a picture once of this girl, and she had dumped a can of like beans all over herself. What kind of beans? Not refried beans, not black beans, but just like, what can't I, like pinto beans or something? I don't know. I can't think of the name.
Beans. Fuck it. What color were they?
They were brown, and they had like the brownish red sauce, like the beans that has that commercial where they were like, "Oh, it's our family secret," whatever.
It's just baked beans.
Baked beans, yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, and so like she had dumped it all over herself, and like the caption was basically like, and she was smiling and super happy, and it was like, "Oh, Piggy loves to play in the food and stuff." And like at first I was like, "Oh god, that's gross. Like that's not a food I would ever want on me." But like just kind of looking at it and just looking at like how excited she was, and honestly the fact that it probably had put her into, this piggy headspace that she had, it started to appeal to me more. It was just like, actually, no, that looks like a lot of fun because I can tell that like she's really enjoying it. And for me, that's a big part of it.
Yeah, but you could do it and hate it, so I think you're more getting off her enjoyment than her actually having the beans on her. So.
I would agree, but I also know that for me, having moments of like seeing someone else enjoy something and then that becoming a memory of enjoyment in my head can affect if I'm into something or not.
Yeah, Minka's not selfish like you all.
That is a dangerous way to do things. Someone loses a limb, they get turned on. You're like, man, I gotta lose my limb too. No,
I'm already into amputation.
Hey, that's a whole thing. That is a whole nother fetish we could talk about.
Yeah.
Time for last call yet.
I'm already into amputation and gore and stuff, so.
I need to get.
Well, that was an admission I didn't think I'd ever hear.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
All right. Last call, folks.
No, last call was an hour ago. That's how last call works.
Yeah. It's fair enough. But any final thoughts,
Why
Minka?
are you so... Never mind.
Talking to me or Minka?
You. Mr. Host.
The hostess with the
I'm
mostest.
so confused.
Nothing, don't worry about it.
Okay. Well, do you two have any final thoughts?
I would just say, if it's something you're interested in, like, awesome, enjoy it, find the hentai, find the porn. If you want to do it in real life, like we talked about earlier, and thank you, Puce, for bringing this up, just be careful, do your research, talk to people that have done it, talk to people who know what's going on and how to be safe, because the last thing you want is to have something seriously go wrong while you're trying to get your rocks off.
Do not leave your submissives tied up in a room and walk away.
Correct.
That's for sure. Alt, any final words?
I need a drink.
Well, you should have got it. It's too late.
It's too late. All right, folks. It was fun having you all here. Please thank your tables and chairs for letting you use them all night tonight. And as always, don't let the door slam on your way out. It is very fragile. Have a good night.
What? No.
What?
No.
If you'd like to find us on our social media platforms, you can check us out on Twitter or Facebook, The Lusty Lounge. If you would like to support what we're doing, you can check us out over on Patreon at The Lusty Lounge. And you can always join our Discord server and join all of the debauchery that happens there.
How did you forget? You're the host.
I forget things. It happens.
You don't have a checklist?
Nope. Never do.
Oh, you should get a checklist.
No. All right. Everybody have a good night.
Good night.
Bye.